There was a certain scene in a certain play. A certain actress once performed in front of the eyes of a certain young man who certainly couldn't accept the fact that he was falling in love with a girl that was a character, with a family that didn't understand her, but who still had blue skies with soft white clouds above and inside and all around her head, and whom he would leave behind without ever really leaving, instead hovering somewhere in the atmosphere, above the intemperance and impatience of the Pacific Ocean, which he had come to think of as his home. And so he didn't accept it. But an aeroplane is a strange icon to worship. It does odd things to you. And you know that it's become a problem when the sight of that angular bird shining above a world that has just been plunged into dusk makes your skin crawl and nails curl. But he just shuts his eyes and imagines that the dull roar of the refrigerator is the sound of tomorrow's takeoff, as if to justify the fact that sometimes you realize that you have made decisions that have made both of you less happy, and despite the fact that your life has been constructed as much out of good luck as good intentions, it is possible that things will pass you by and that someday she will be sitting next to you in a hall full of gold light, and even though you love her and even though she loves you too, she will be out of your reach. There was a certain story about a certain planet whose moon swung too low. And in between the planet and the moon, there was an ambiguous gravity. And one could decide to lean in one or the other direction and find themselves in an entirely new trajectory. There was a certain young man who told this certain story to a certain half-distracted audience on a certain empty night when the clouds had smothered even the memory of a moon in the sky. And when bad news had left scattered all the good dreams of all the people who had presented themselves as there but were not and never would be. And the young man was walking away from one or another thing, and it was as though he was in a silver sea, and the tides, ambivalent about all things, including death and including all the various manifestations of life, could take him whichever way they wanted to that night. And a certain actress has a certain place she wants to be, so she has turned herself into the shape of an angular bird, an aeroplane high above the world grown dim, above the Pacific Ocean fallen ill, above planets and moons and lovers who were not, but who could have been and could have been better off if they had, if they'd come together like two gravities entwined.